You are looking live at a weekly chart of the Nasdaq. You can see the weekly. Excuse me. Welcome to my weekly review. Before I get started, I have a lot of ground to cover today, but I wanted to start with the weekly chart since it's a weekly review, and the Nasdaq was up 1.49% last week, 264 points, and that is on the heels of a week, which is the best week of 2024 when it was up 5.95%. So we've had a couple of solid weeks, and my portfolio does a lot better when the NASDAQ is strong, and I hope yours is too. We had a really good week, one of the last couple of weeks. And it's great to have the tailwinds from the index. That really helps. The NASDAQ, you can see here, made this high of 18,017, and then on Thursday eclipsed that, then pulled back on Friday. I just wanted to point out one thing. Friday was options expiration, so you see these the big bar, right? Whenever we get options expiration, and recently it's been kind of a negative day, but it was due for a pullback after that big move. I just wanted to point out on Wednesday the high was 17,832, then it ramped up and gapped up on Thursday, then pulled back on Friday, almost filled the gap. That's 835 on Friday is the low, and 832 is the high. So 3 points from filling that gap there. Just an area of interest that I'm watching on a pullback. But you could see the 10 EMA and the 21 EMA is now traded through the 50 SMA. So that's a positive sign. The low of the session has been above the 21 for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sessions. So that's another positive sign. You hear people talk about it's overbought or the rallies too far, too fast. Just take it one day at a time. Heck, maybe it'll come down to the 10 or the 21. Who knows? Maybe it'll melt up. You got to keep an open mind and be flexible. So I just take it one day at a time. And the Nasdaq looks good, and like I say, it's a nice tailwind for the type of stocks that I like to trade. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is a stronger index, trading at new highs here on Thursday. Just an inside day on Friday. A quiet day while the Nasdaq was down, and then I guess I'll go to the SPY. Let me give you a little reading here. Yeah, it's 3.2% above its 50 and 1.1% above the 10. How about the Nasdaq? I didn't give you that data, did I? Sorry about that. The Nasdaq is 2.9% above its 50 now, and 1.8% above the 10. So looking good. And then I wanted to get to the IWM. They had this is a weekly review, so I just want to point out it had a good week, 2.19%. So that's on the heels of the prior week of 4.3%. So this thing's rallying. You can see here it's clearly defined in a consolidation. Yeah, pattern rec picks it up as a flat base pattern. So index is looking better. It's repairing, and I got to get to some stocks though. Apple, I just got to get to Apple. It was up 2.5% last week. There was I got to go to the daily here because there was a sell-off here, gap down on Monday when an analyst came out and said that the Apple 16 and the Pro are not going to sell well, or there's not much demand, so it gapped lower and closed down 2.78%. That was just an opportunity to buy. Then the T-Mobile CEO came in and said, no, we're seeing strong demand, and then it was up 3.7% that day. It was Thursday, and a little give back on Friday. No big deal, but overall, Apple looks really good in this base here. You can see a clearly defined consolidation pattern from 237 down to 196, and just still consolidating here in this box. So, those Darvish traders want to see this thing blast out of a box. So we're just watching Apple. Microsoft announced a 60 billion stock buyback program and a 10% increase in their dividend. That's all good news. This is, steady Eddie long-term stock. So it's just consolidating in a base. It traded through its moving averages. You can see it undercut the 200, traded through the short-term moving averages. And this thing looks good, actually. So yeah, Microsoft looks fantastic to me. Tesla stock that looks good as well, just consolidating in a base above its moving averages. Tesla looks fantastic as well. Yeah, Meta is another one of these Magnificent Seven stocks that are showing well. And I'm not going to do all of them. I will get to NVIDIA because I want to talk about the AI infrastructure plays. And NVIDIA is just going sideways here, as you can see, for a long, long time here. Since, you know, they did report earnings recently and it sold off. But I mean, you can see since, what is that, May 28th? Yeah, it's about the same price as May 28th here. It's gone nowhere, folks. So I can't hold a stock like that. It's just doing the teeter-totter above this level, right? I mean, come on, it's not going anywhere. But it made a big move. So it's digesting gains, right? From, you know, 39 to 140. Thank you very much. And now it's just going sideways. So it's got to break out of its box as well. Yeah, I just don't want to hold it while it's doing this because the index is ripping and a lot of stocks are ripping and this thing's going sideways. So it's an opportunity cost just to hold NVIDIA here, just because it is a great company and a great stock. But, you know, all stocks go through this consolidation pattern after big gains. So I think it's healthy overall. It's just not moving. A couple other names in the group that I do like that are doing a lot better than NVIDIA. And this is Broadcom. You can see it ran up to 185. It's consolidating as well, but above its moving averages here. And it had a really strong week. This is a weekly review. It's up more than 2% last week. And there you can see in the weekly chart, the consolidation pattern still looks pretty good to me. A couple of other ones that I want to mention. Taiwan Semi, you know, forming this cup with handle. That one looks pretty good. Got to go to the daily. People like the daily chart. But you can see that cup with handle very pronounced. So it needs a break above 175.45. Oh, I guess I got to go to AMD. This one's in I don't know what you call it, purgatory, limbo, just going sideways below its 200. So no great shakes there. I did want to mention though, well, one stock that's doing really well is PI, and I'll just bring this one up quickly. You can see the base on base pattern, and now it's breaking out. It's a weekly review, so you know 8.6%. It broke out really the prior week when it was up. How much was it up? Yeah, 18%. Followed through last week with an 8% move. So PI looks really good. But I wanted to point out that Qualcomm allegedly has interest in Intel. I don't know why anybody would have interest in Intel, but allegedly they do. There was a report Friday, knocked Qualcomm down, but helped with Intel. And, you know, these hardware names, semiconductors, are going to be critical to the AI infrastructure plays. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit. There's the hardware, there's the software like Palantir, which is just on fire right now. You can see it broke out of a base, pull back to its 200. That's got to be August 5th week. Yeah. And since August 5th, it's just been ramping. I mean, all stocks, or pretty much 99% of stocks sold off on that August 5th move. There it is, the move down to the 200 on the daily August 5th. But Palantir is super strong. Other software names that are going to benefit from this AI. Oracle, they reported strong earnings and followed up later last week with raised guidance, you know, through the roof raised guidance. ServiceNow, another well-managed company, it's going to take advantage of AI, making new highs. This thing, you can see it's just surfing its moving averages. That one looks fantastic. And then Benioff's company, they had Dreamforce this week. It's kind of lagging, obviously. It's below its 200, but they are going to benefit as well. All right, I'm going to move on to the hardware names. Some of these hardware names that have sold off too much. Micron reports this week on the 25th. I believe they're going to crush it. This is a cyclical business, and you can see the cycle has changed, right? From these, you know, big red numbers, now they're turning blue, and they're pretty big numbers here. So you can see the earnings chart here. Market Surge has this earnings line, which is fantastic. So you can see the chart moving up with the earnings. And like I said, they're going to report this week. I wouldn't be surprised if it is a really strong number. And this company trades above 100. That would not surprise me at all. It came down here to 85 and 85 and 85, and it's just trying to bottom here at 85. This day is 84. This is a 15-minute chart. So it tried to bottom here at 85. It tested and retested and retested. Then it undercut here, little undercut, and then rallied back up. But that level is definitely a level here. And now it's pushed above it in the last few sessions, and it's trading around 90. Yeah. So maybe some short covering going in, but I don't think it would take much of a report for this thing to drive through its moving averages here. And that's what I'm looking for next week from Micron. DELL is another one that's going to benefit bigly from the AI, and they're starting to report better earnings. Here, let's take a look at the weekly chart here. Yeah, the undercut, that's got to be August 5th, and then it rallied back up, but still. Just looking at some hardware names. Vertiv, you can see it's consolidating in a base here, traded below its 200. That's got to be the August 5th day. Yeah, August 5th. A date that will live in infamy for traders, August 5th. Yeah, August 5th, it traded down to 62. Did I buy it at 62? No. I bought it when it broke above its downtrend line. I had this on our ready list, and some folks at mcstockcharts.com got it, but it got a little extended, so I took it off last week. But that's a great company, great stock, and you can see it's just consolidating in a base here. It needs to break above, in my opinion, to attract these momentum traders. It's got to trade above that box at 109. So that's what I'm looking for with Vertiv. But the point I wanted to make here, and on Friday we had a news announcement from Microsoft and Constellation that Constellation has a license now with from 2028 to 2054, I believe. And Microsoft signed a 20-year deal for them to provide energy for Microsoft, because these hyperscalers, first of all, they have a ton of resources, they have a ton of money, they're printing cash, but they also know that it's going to take a ton of energy to build out this AI infrastructure with some of these hardware and software names and these semiconductors that I just mentioned. So they need power, and that's why these utility companies are really strong. And it's going to be a long, long time for a build out here. I'm not saying the stocks are going to rip for a long, long time, but they're going to be doing well, I think, for a long period of time. So Constellation announced this deal with Microsoft. It blasted up 22% just on Friday. A move not to be ignored. You could see it broke out of this base, and I had people saying, "Oh, that's a blow off top. Constellation's done." And I don't believe it for a minute. This thing's just getting rolling. Like I said, it signed a deal with for 2028 to 2054. It's like 26 years. So it's going to be around for a while. This is a quality company, quality stock. And so, yeah, that's the reason when these hyperscalers know, these well-financed hyperscalers know they need power. This underscores more deals to come, likely, because they know they need the power. And that's why these electrical power companies, just took off on Friday. This is VST. I had it on my ready list because it broke above the downtrend line here. And then I kept it on, and, quite a few people at MC Stock Charts got it last week. It was up 16%, and Friday, 26% for the week. So VST is another one of these that are going to benefit. GEV. I mean, I think you could put these things in your IRA. One of them, you want to diversify away from, the NVIDIAs and Microsofts of the world. One of these power plays, and GE Vernova is not a bad one to start with. It was up 8% last week, 8.8%. You can see on the daily, the IPO hit the ground running, consolidated. And now this is, I don't know, you'd probably call this your due diligence phase here. And now it's in its advanced phase. And I think this thing could advance for a while. But we'll see. Just take it one day at a time. But these things are showing strengths. I just wanted to point this out. TLN, Talon Energy, another one of these. I mean, just look at the chart. You don't have to know anything. I mean, it's going higher, right? Finding supported its moving averages, even on August 5th, which was that, horrible day, right? It just came back down below its 50, then rallied right back through it. I mean, the next day or two, it was above it and just ramping, finding support at its moving averages. So TLN, a buy on pullbacks, in my opinion, if it will ever pull back. No, Just kidding, it will. Just got to watch it. All right, another group. I'm going to get off the AI theme and the hardware, the software, the energy. I'm going to move over to construction stocks. Granite Construction, which is some of these names that I'm going to pull up are loosely tied to the data centers as well. Some really strong stock, but this is Granite Construction, building heavy construction. You can see the group is a 21, so a strong group. This is forming an ascending base, pretty rare ascending base, but every time it rises, it pulls back like 10% here. So there's your pullback, and then there's your pullback, the August 5th one, and then there's your pullback. So it's now above $80. So Granite looks fantastic. The other one that I wanted to show in this group is ROAD. Another one that just this thing moves so fast, undercut and rallied through its 50, and then it moved through its pivot point with power here. That it was just I missed it. I got to be honest, I missed it. I was watching it too. I've been showing this every day on my daily review charts, but man, it was up 11.5% last week. So big move from a stock that usually doesn't move that fast. Also, in the construction, building, and energy, electricity is up. Quanta Services, this is a really great company. Solid management. They're steady eddies, but it was at this pivot on Friday, and I know Friday was the the options expiration, the monthly, but this is one that I would still watch here, even though it's a tick above that standard buy point. That one looks good to me. And then Sterling is another one. These power plays. This one just blasted higher with volume. Talk about power through the pivot, man. You got to watch this stuff. I'm seeing a lot of this in the charts. It's showing up in the charts here as this thing rallies through. Yeah, the week prior had a good week, right? 2 weeks ago it was up 16%, with decent volume, 22% below average volume though. But last week, it was up 16% with 45% above average volume, and it traded right through that pivot area. So that should be a stock on people's radars here, I believe, as it trades through, out of that box. I talk about this box a lot. And there's a lot of famous traders like Darvis and Wyckoff O'Neill that they paid attention to these new highs, right? And when you got power through that pivot, that's that usually leads to higher prices. Anyway, I'm going to move on from this group because I want to go to something different. I'm going to switch gears, throw the change up at you, and go to retail. This is RH. They reported last week, gapped higher, a move not to be ignored, Dan. Yeah, that's 25%. Thank you very much. We'll take that. Rallied through 300. I thought it might have trouble at 300, but no, it's up to 344. And that's a hell of a week for RH. And it comes on the heels of the prior week, which is up 29. Yeah. So 6% last week. So RH doing fantastic. You can see it's still in, what Weinstein would call that stage one. It went through its he's got 4 stages, the flat stage and the ascending stage is stage 2. Then you got your stage 3 where you don't make any more gains. And then you go through your decline stage and you go, through stage 1 again. So maybe this will get back into stage 2 if it could blast through that box. That's RH. There's a couple other ones that I got to get to here that I like. DoorDash, I think is a nice. I put it in a retail spot. People are buying food online, having it delivered, right? You can see this clearly defined cup with handle pattern. It was up 6 something percent last week. I did have this on our ready list last week, and people are asking me, can I still buy it? Can I still buy it? Well, you can buy any stock at any time. Just make sure you have your stop losses and don't take big losses. Sure, this thing could continue higher for sure after that breakout on the weekly. That looks to me like could be the start of a bigger move. Time will tell, but I like the looks of DoorDash. What other one did I have here? I'm getting lost. Got so many stocks here. Oh, Carvana. These guys are going to benefit from lower rates, I believe. You can see this little wedge pattern. I'll show it on the daily, but this little bull wedge pattern as it pulled back and then now blasted higher, 22.5% last week as Jerome Powell cut rates. Yeah, look at that undercut and rally. Seeing a lot of that. All right, Carvana looks good. What other retail names have? Oh, you got to go to Costco and Walmart. I mean, come on. When stocks like this, I mean, this is just lower left to upper right. You can see this consolidation cup shape pattern, little handle here. It's trying to handle out. See what this looks like on the weekly. Yeah, Costco looks fantastic to me. Also, Walmart. I know a lot of people are whining and bitching and moaning and complaining about recession, and I don't know if people are just whiners. I like to whine, but Walmart looking like this doesn't, I don't think this looks like a recession to me. Walmart's doing fantastic. Large retailer, I mean, 635 billion market cap. So, yeah, just the way the unemployment is, I know Powell lowered interest rates 50 basis points, but the economy looks okay. And Walmart is a good barometer for that. Kind of low end retailer. All right, I'm going to switch gears once again, throw the change up or the curveball and go to app 11. I'm going to do a section later on leaders, and app 11 is definitely a leader in this software space. It just broke out once again. When the index sold off, this thing just pulled back to its 50, formed this wedge pattern. You could see the kind of cup with handle here. And now it's just taken off the last few weeks. And I think you got to find a way to buy leaders somehow, some way. You can see the earnings line heading due north, and you just listen to their most recent conference call. These guys know what they're doing. They're pretty bullish. I think there's good growth ahead, but yeah, it went up 33% 2 weeks ago. The last week added on only 12%. I think we'll take that. So yeah, gotta find a way. Maybe it'll pull back to the 10 one of these days, but I like to own leaders, and app is definitely one. If you missed it, put it on your watch list. Duolingo, this one has been on fire after forming this double bottom base. I completely whiffed on this one. I do like this stock. I like this one in Spotify, but yeah, I missed that one right there. But you talk about power from the pivot. You saw it. Let's see what it looks like on the weekly. Yeah, there's your double bottom pattern. A little, a couple weeks of sideways action right there. Even came back 1 week to its 200. And then the last 2 weeks has just been really strong. So 2 weeks ago, it was up by 9.8%, followed up with a 17% move last week. So, and I did mention Spotify, so I want to go there. This thing had been going sideways for a long, long time, and then finally broke above that pattern. Let's see what it looks like on the daily. It was up 8% last week. Yeah, so it's kind of just broken out, had big volume on Thursday, and even on the options expiration, it didn't even have a average daily volume, but that's the breakout there. That looks good. So above that 359 area. So breaking out of the box, that will attract traders, momentum traders. All right. What else do I have in the software group? Oh, I got a bunch of them. Monday looks good to me as well. Broke out of this little area. I like that. Definitely a stronger name in the software space. Got the growth profile that we like. Yeah, that's a short little base. Had a 3 weeks tight, pull back and go. All right. And then ZETA, one of the stronger software names this year that I could find, had this little base here. I want to say it was back in summer, June, July. Yeah, then broke out here this week, 16%. July 19th, hasn't looked back, just surfing its moving averages. This is a typical Kelly Slater stock. Why do I say that? Well, keep surfing its moving averages. You could say, yeah, find support and bounces. Sure, it finds support and bounces. So this is your classic buy the dip stock. And it's got the growth profile that I look for, 20% sales growth, 24%, now 33. So accelerating sales and earnings growth. ZETA is a quality stock. DigitalOcean, this is one that I lost patience with. I've had it on our ready list a few times, but I took it off. And it's just starting to move here. I would say it's just starting to move out of that Weinstein stage one base. Here you can see the Stage one, if I do this correctly here, your stage one IPO base, your due diligence phase, and here's your advanced phase, stage two, and then it went into the stage three, but this is entering the bear market. And so it sold off with the bear market, and it's been consolidating ever since. But I like it popping out of this little base here. Let's take a look at the weekly. Yeah, so the price will be 41.58, and so it's just ticking above it. Friday had a big volume on that options expiration Friday. So DigitalOcean looks good to me as well. And do I have any more here? Oh, yeah. QTWO. Oh, this is one that I put on my ready list last week. You can see why, it's consolidating in a base. First of all, I like stocks that have shown the ability to make, big moves. This thing's made big moves, right? Consolidation makes a big move and now consolidates in this little box. And now it's starting to peek out of the box, but it pulls back to a moving average in light volume. And then what happens? Boom, that's like stealth accumulation there. And then blast higher. Let's see what it looks like on the weekly. It was up 9% last week. So yeah, congrats to the longs there. That's a nice breakout. You can see it out of that little consolidation. So yeah, Q2 looks great. All right, that's it for software. I'm gonna have to move on. I got too much stuff to get to. All right, I'm gonna go to some obscure names. Stuff I don't even know what they do, to be honest with you, but I'm going to the drug sector. And I know people don't like to play these biotechs because it's the outhouse or the penthouse, and oftentimes it is the outhouse, and people don't like the outhouse. It smells in there, and it hurts your portfolio when you get hammered on these things. But I'm kind of intrigued with this one. I don't even know what they do. Yeah, niche allergic and yeah, okay, diseases, but I don't know. Immune system diseases. All right, had a big move on Friday, so that's how I had showed up on my regular. I think there was 300 stocks up with volume on Friday, which is pretty good with the index being down. This was one of them that caught my attention. Another one is EWTX. I'm not recommending buying. I'm just pointing these out here. Big breakout with volume. That's a move not to be ignored, Dan. This is on Thursday. Yeah, 54% move. Let's see what that looks like on the weekly. Yeah, base on base on base, and then bam, 50% move. Thank you very much. Probably not the end of the move. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that. I don't know what's the high, $30. Yeah, we'll see if it can trade above 30. That's Edgewise Therapeutics, EWTX, THRD, third. Harmonic, up 11% last week. You can see it's still consolidating in the base, probably going to be extended with that type of a weekly move. Yeah, 11% above its 10, but just something that I'm watching for. I like to speculate in biotechs. I also like to learn what they do before I go out and plug too much money in it, but definitely a thinly traded name. That's a THRD. Third, ASND had a monster week. They had a phase 3 trial, big move, up 26%. Thank you very much. Rallied through its moving averages, but you can see it's still consolidating within a base. And yeah, that's a big move for ASND. I believe it was a phase 3 trial, and it moved on the 16th. So that was the prior week, right? No, that was Monday. Okay, Monday. Came up with the news on Monday. Fantastic. So that looks good, right? Yeah, maybe that was Friday. All right. Doesn't matter. The last one I want to show. No, I have two more. PCTC is another one. If I could type the ticker symbol in, it would be of much help. Oh man, Marty, I'm being dyslexic here. PTCT, PTC Therapeutics. Just consolidating in a base here. A couple of areas of interest there is at 35 here. It seems to just be consolidating. I would like to see it blast through that 40.69 level and just keep my eye on it. Some of these biotechs can really move fast. And the last one I want to show is TVTX, Travera Therapeutics. And obviously this one had a breakout and a move higher. Let's see what that looks like on the weekly. Yeah, thank you. 12% move last week, and the prior week, 2 weeks ago, 22% move, and then 3 weeks ago, a 16% move. So this one's moving with volume, so that's not Aunt Sally buying that stock. Anyway, the biotech sector has got like 900 stocks in it, but it's moved up to, one of the top 30 groups now. So definitely keep my eye on that. And of course, the ADMA is my go-to. I like this one above all of them. Yeah, it was up 10% last week. The week before is 11.25% move. So 2 weeks in a row of double-digit moves. Yeah, we'll take that all day long. You can see this little, gapped higher. You got to listen to their conferences. They just did one with Cantor Fitzgerald last week. Gapped higher, pull back to this moving average. Gapped higher again, pull back to the moving average. Continue to get support at the moving averages. So definitely one to buy on a pullback. All right, let's move on. I got to go to the oil and gas. I'm trying to be open-minded. I'm not going to do the insurance stocks or the REITs or the tobacco or the defense, but I will do some oil and gas just due to the length of this video. And this is a Texas Pacific. And, if you just take a step back and look at this thing, all it's doing is pulling back its moving average and rising higher, right? Pulls back, rises higher. Pulls back, rises higher. So stock to buy on a pullback. That's Texas Pacific Land, a thinly traded name, but it was up 15% last week. I think we'll take 15% regardless what the circumstances. Another one that I like is Kodiak Gas and Services IPO here. This is due diligence, and then broke out the advanced phase, and now it's consolidated for quite some time. I believe this goes back to like February or March, this consolidation. Yeah, March. So it's been consolidating about 6 months here, and it looks like it's starting to break out. It was up 11% last week. I've been watching this one for a while. They undercut the 50 and the rally through. Still, actionable at a standard buy point, I believe, if it can break out through that level. And then CNX is another one that I've been showing just about daily. Wow, look what it did on Friday. 6% move. I should have bought this one, you big dummy. But I have been showing this, and did I buy it? No, but it has been showing strength here. These 2% moves, pull back to a moving average, and then blasted higher 16.5% last week. So yeah, we'll take that. Just want to be open-minded. And the last group that I'm going to cover is TMDX, the medical group. Undercut the 50, then rallied right back through. We've seen a lot of that. So we've seen a lot of charts that look like that. BVS, Bioventus medical product, just lower left to upper right, really super strong stock. Broke out, and now it's just surfing its moving averages. This is a less than $1 billion market cap, small one. The bigger one, you go to Intuitive Surgical. This one's just consolidating here. That 493 is an area of interest. Got to get above it. For me, I'd actually like to see it blast through 500, but we'll have to wait and see. And the last one is LNTH. LNTH made a big move on news and then pulled back to its 50. And now it's just kind of riding its 50 higher. So they don't report until Halloween, but it's definitely trading within that, box of consolidation there after, that's a big gain. All right, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Except for I do have one more thing in honor of the great Steve Jobs. I just want to point out that it's beneficial to identify and own the leaders of groups. And I'm just going to go through a couple groups here. And we'll just go through 2024. How about that? I'll go to yeah, 12/29 was the last trading day of 23. So in 2024, Boot Barn has been up, 118%. And On Holdings up 85%. Those are pretty darn good gains if you're holding those stocks, right? Definitely outperforming some of these other names. Crocs 48%. That's a great year. But do you want to own, the 48% and the 35%, or do you want to own the 85 or 118? So I want to own leaders in groups, and leaders definitely switch from time to time. I think we see that in the cybersecurity space a lot, where Palo Alto leads, CrowdStrike leads, Zscaler leads, Fortinet, and they just trade off. But for right now, Boot is definitely outperforming in 2024. There's another group that I want to discuss here, and I mentioned it earlier, AppLovin in 2024, or I could just go back an entire year because I don't want to keep changing the date. But App is up 228%, and Zeta Global is up 282. Those are two leading stocks. Would you rather own that, or would you rather own a software name like a Workday or a Monday? Or, even a Duolingo, which has had a good run, and 76% is great, but it's not 280 or 220. So I want to own leaders, and I kind of want to own, even Q2 has done well. 160%, yeah, we'll take that. Inta 54, but you get the point. And then the larger ones aren't doing much. Salesforce 27%. That's great for a Dow Jones. ServiceNow is up 70%, doing fantastic. Oracle, these are bigger names, so they're not going to move like AppLovin. My point is, you want to own the leaders, that's all. So in that group, I think AppLovin and Zeta are definitely the leaders. And if you want to go to the obvious here, and I just mentioned earlier, it's not doing anything now, but if you go back a year, NVIDIA's up 182%, which just destroys some of these other names here. AMD's up 62, not bad. Qualcomm 56. ARM today 166, not bad for ARM. A-Lab is another one in this group. Yeah. And then of course you got to go to Broadcom. 111%. We'll take that. That's a good year, isn't it? But NVIDIA is the king, so it's outperforming. And so you want to own the leaders, but it has been going sideways for a while. In the retail space, you got to go to Carvana and Shark Ninja. Those two are the ones that are, Carvana's up 300%. There's not a lot of stocks up more than, there's quite a few stocks up 100% or more, but you got to identify them, you got to pick them. And a lot of people miss these. Shark Ninja's up 140%. So that's not bad at beating breaks off of, stocks like Whirlpool, or Target or Costco. These are bigger names. Walmart's had a hell of a run, up nearly 50% this year. But in the retail space, that looks good. And I want to do the restaurant, and then I'll stop there. How about that? I'll put you out of your misery and stop. You can always close the video at any time. CAVA's up 323%. I mean, for a restaurant stock, you gotta want to own the leaders. You own CAVA, and you also can own Sweet Greens. I think that one's up 218. I think you'll take that any year in your portfolio. But there's some other names, performing well. I mean, Shake Shack's not, up with the leaders, but hey, you'll take 84%. At least I will. Wingstop is another one. Shoot, 149%. Yes, thank you very much. We'll take that. TXRH, Texas Roadhouse. 74%. And the one that is surprising me is El Pollo Loco. That thing's been really strong recently. You could see this run. But 54% move, not bad. My point is, in this exercise here, is just the leaders. You want to own the leaders to bring alpha to your portfolio. And you could probably trade some of these in between, but longer, to hold longer term in your portfolio, you got to own CAVA, and you got to own AppLovin, and you got to own, Boot or On Holdings. Those are the leaders in the group, the NVIDIAs. So that's not really a trade suggestion. That's more of like, I'm holding for longer term, so I don't have to pay Uncle Sam those taxes. You got to hold for a year to get the break. So anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up. Let's have a great weekend and come back next week and have a solid week. I'm seeing some pretty good setups. Thank you for watching. Never give up.